Good evening from St. Peter's in Hove, and welcome to what by my calculations, is day 34 of Lent, and therefore the 34th step on our journey through St. Mark's Passion narrative. And we're getting close to the end, because we now come to the burial of Jesus. And St. Mark tells us in verse 42, it was now evening. Jesus dies at 3 o'clock, we know that. So Jesus has died, and so it's getting dark. It's 4 o'clock, let's say. And since it was preparation day, that is the day before the Sabbath, the day in which you have to do everything because you're not allowed to work on the Sabbath, there came Joseph of Arimathea, a prominent member of the council, who himself lived in the hope of seeing the kingdom of God. And he boldly went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. The reason Joseph of Arimathea, patron saint of undertakers, by the way, wants the body of Jesus taken down from the cross is so that they can bury the body of Jesus and because they will not be able to do so on the Sabbath without infringing the Sabbath, because the burial of the dead is work. The pushing back of the stone and so on is work. So, and also it's considered a foul thing to leave a corpse on display throughout the Sabbath. So Joseph of Arimathea, who is a member of the council, a follower of Jesus, but also a pious Jew, for all these reasons, wants to bury the body of Jesus. Joseph of Arimathea's motivation is one of Christian charity. He's a Christian, he's a follower of Jesus, he's also a pious Jew. It's a matter of Jewish charity as well. And it says he boldly went to Pilate. Well, he was a person of importance, he was a member of the council, so he could do what other people could not do. He had access to Pilate. He boldly went to Pilate because, of course, Pilate probably did not want to be disturbed right now. And it required a bit of bravery, a bit of brass neck going before Pilate and asking for the body. But that's what he does. He sees the burial of the dead as a very important matter. And you know what? Ever since the time of Joseph of Arimathea, every Christian has seen the burial of the dead as an important matter, something that is to be carried out with care and reverence and dignity. And indeed, that's clear in the Old Testament. The book of Tobit, you may remember, is written largely to promote the idea of giving your parents a really good funeral. It's one of the things it is. Now, of course, Pilate, now something rather strange happens with St. Mark's narrative. Pilate is amazed that Jesus has died so quickly, because we know that people who were crucified sometimes lasted for a very long time. So he calls the centurion, who, remember the centurion, the one who'd seen how Jesus died, to check that Jesus is dead. And the centurion says, yes, he is dead. Having been assured of this by the centurion, it says, he granted the corpse to Joseph. And so Pilate goes out of his way to check that Jesus is dead. He doesn't just sort of wave a hand and say, whatever, do whatever you have to do. No, he'd probably have to give some sort of written order and so on that they had to show to the executioners, saying that they could have the body. Because the Romans were great administrators. That's why they had a great empire. They did all, things didn't happen without, could I see your warrant? That sort of thing. They were very efficient. Now, why this emphasis on Pilate checking that Jesus was dead? And then later we'll see this comes up again. Well, the reason is very simple, because after the resurrection, people either denied that Jesus had risen from the dead, or possibly they denied he'd ever died in the first place. Oh no, he didn't die really. And so therefore the fact he was walking around 40 days after he was supposed to be dead is because he never died. And this silly idea that Jesus survived the crucifixion has even been put about by modern authors today, which is ridiculous. The idea that a man could survive the trauma of 3 hours of crucifixion followed by his burial and then sort of woke up in the tomb, that's simply not possible. It used to be said, oh yes, the spices in the tomb and the coldness of the tomb revived him. Cold doesn't revive people, Cold kills people. So it's just to check Jesus really died. It's in the creed. He descended to hell. He died. We actually believe Jesus died. And it wasn't just a pretend death, it was a real death. So that is what is being emphasized here. Jesus actually died. He actually became a corpse for us and for our salvation. So we've done our 5 minutes. We'll carry on with this passage tomorrow when we take our next step along the journey. Until then, keep on reading the Bible, so important, and have a good evening.